Hi, I'm Patrick, 42, and I learned the hard way that some people don't grow up. They just get older and more dangerous. My brother, Mike, used to be the golden boy. You know the type: sports trophies, straight teeth, smooth talker, all charm and no backbone. Growing up, our parents believed the sun shone out of his backside. Me? I was the responsible one. The boring one. The one who stayed in, studied, went to med school, paid bills early and had a kid before buying a sports car. Guess which one of us moms still brags about at church potlucks? Still, I played along for years. Even when his wife Melissa came along, all Pinterest smiles and passive-aggressive quotes on Instagram, I tried. I kept the peace. Because family, right? But that word doesn't mean what it used to, not after what they did to my daughter Sarah. She's 16. Bright. Kind. A little shy. That kid who makes her own birthday cards for people and actually reads books with no pictures in them. When the annual family vacation came up, some beachside resort in Australia, she was thrilled. Couldn't stop talking about sand dolphins, the itinerary she built in Canva. And because I couldn't go, being, a doctor with actual responsibilities, she was under Mike and Melissa's care. Or so I thought. 3 days after the trip started, I was wrapping up a 14-hour shift, scrubbing out, when I got a call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it. But something in my chest twinged, that dad instinct that doesn't wait for logic. I picked up. Dad? The voice on the other end gasped. Dad, it's me. It's Sarah. She was sobbing so hard her words tripped over each other. Her phone? Gone. Confiscated by Melissa for discipline. Her flight home? Cancelled. Her family? Left the hotel. Flew home. Without her. They dumped her. Alone. 12,200 miles from home. At first, I didn't move. Just stood there in the hallway like someone had pulled the plug on my brain. Then I kicked into gear. I told her to stay put. Somewhere public. Somewhere visible. I booked the next flight home for her in under 5 minutes, arranged for airline staff to escort her through the terminal. I've resuscitated people in trauma wards with less adrenaline. She made it home safe. But let me tell you something, Reddit, when I saw her step through those airport doors, hugging her carry-on like a lifeline, something inside me broke. And something else started to burn. That was the moment I decided this wasn't going to be a family misunderstanding. I wasn't going to forgive. I wasn't going to forget. I was going to build a case that made sure they never hurt her, or anyone, like that again. And I was going to do it methodically, quietly, legally. You know, the way doctors fix infections, remove the rot, and don't stop cutting till the wound is clean. The first thing I did when we got home wasn't cry or yell, it was cook. Soup, toast, something warm. Sarah sat at the table, pale and still, like someone trying to disappear into their own skin. I didn't ask her what happened, not yet. I let the silence work on her, like anesthesia before surgery. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. It started at the airport, she said. Melissa, the queen of false humility and backhanded compliments, started criticizing her phone use immediately. You're not present, Sarah. You're too attached to screens. Try enjoying real life. That was her excuse when she confiscated my daughter's phone. Not for a few hours. For the entire trip. I furrowed my brow. But I was getting texts from you all week. Sarah nodded, bitter. That wasn't me. She only gave it back when you called. She was pretending to be me. The idea of Melissa typing sweet emojis and "Love you, Dad," while holding Sarah's phone hostage made my stomach turn. But it got worse. She said she was teaching me respect. Sarah said, swallowing. Uncle Mike just stood there. Didn't say a word. Mike. The human beige couch. I always knew he'd be Melissa's yes man. But letting his wife isolate and humiliate my daughter was next-level cowardice. The rest of the trip followed the same pattern. Snide remarks. Power plays. Making Sarah carry everyone's bags. Making her sit out of excursions. The cousins tried to be nice. They always liked her. But you could tell they were uncomfortable. Melissa kept dropping lines like, "Some kids think being smart makes them better than everyone else." Then came the kicker. The day they were set to fly back, Melissa told Sarah there was an issue with her ticket. "Our assistant will fix it," she said. "Just wait here with the luggage." Then they all piled into the airport van and never came back. I waited for 3 hours. Sarah whispered. Then the hotel staff told me my name wasn't on the room anymore. They checked me out. And the flight? Cancelled. No explanation. No return ticket. She was just deleted from the trip. She tried calling Jessica, her cousin, from the hotel phone. No answer. Later, she found out Melissa had told everyone Sarah decided to stay longer with friends. Alone. At 16. With no phone, no ID, and no way to get home. The only reason she called me at all was because an older couple saw her crying in the lobby and offered their phone. I sat back in my chair, breathing through my teeth. My hands weren't shaking, they were steady. Controlled. It wasn't rage. It was something colder. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner," Sarah said, eyes shiny. "I didn't want to bother you at work." I reached across the table and held her hand. "You never have to apologize for needing your father." Then I stood up, walked to my desk, and opened my laptop. Time to build a case. I started with the basics, pulled up Sarah's booking confirmation from her email, cross-referenced the hotel reservation, pulled timestamps. Everything had been altered mid-trip, by Melissa. The airline confirmed it in one phone call. Sarah's return ticket was cancelled manually. Refund sent to the original cardholder, Melissa Grant. Next, the hotel manager. "Yes, sir." Melissa Grant checked the room out early and said the teenager in their group had changed travel plans. She didn't forget anything. She covered her tracks. She had rewritten the entire story, and I was going to dismantle it, piece by piece. Within 24 hours, I had a digital folder labeled Case, Sarah. Emails. Screenshots. Confirmations. Every breadcrumb. That night, I texted my sister Jenny, the only one in the family with an actual conscience. When I told her what had happened, she went silent. "Oh my God!" she said. "Mom and Dad think Sarah stayed longer with friends. That's what Mike told them." Of course it was. I looked at my screen. At the pile of evidence. At the text where Melissa pretended to be my daughter. And something inside me clicked into place. This wasn't a family problem anymore. This was premeditated child endangerment. And I wasn't going to let it slide. Mike picked up on the third ring, sounding like he'd just come off a golf course or a midlife crisis motorcycle ride. "Hey, bro! Everything sorted with Sarah?" "Yeah. Sorted. You know, after she had to borrow a stranger's phone from another hemisphere to call me sobbing because her guardians dumped her like a forgotten suitcase. But I didn't say that. I said, 'She's home.'" Silence. Then, "Oh. That's good. Melissa told me she wanted to stay longer." I let that marinate. "You want to try again, Mike?" My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Because I have the airline's call log. I have the refund to Melissa's card. I have the hotel checkout records. I even have the travel agent's emails. He chuckled nervously, the same fake laugh he used as a kid when caught stealing cookies and blaming me. Okay, don't get dramatic. You know how chaotic travel can be." "Sure," I said. "And somehow, chaos always seems to benefit Melissa. Isn't that amazing?" Click. He hung up. Classic. So I called Daniel. Daniel's the kind of lawyer who makes people sweat just by showing up in court with a manila folder. Been my friend since med school. We bonded over our mutual hatred for group projects and glitter. When he picked up, I said 2 words. "We're suing." "Talk to me," he said. I sent over the file. Everything. The boarding pass cancellations. The hotel invoice. The fake texts. Melissa's entire petty vendetta. By the time he'd gone through the first 10 pages, he said, "Yeah. This isn't just negligence. This is sabotage." The next day, I played my ace. The family dinner. Every Saturday, like clockwork, my parents host a full table spread. Mike and Melissa never miss it because they love the free food and even more the spotlight. Melissa treats those nights like her own weekly TED Talk on raising children with discipline, which mostly consists of making sure her kids never eat sugar or smile in public. I told Sarah. We're going. She hesitated. Are they going to be there? They are, I said. But this time, they don't get to control the story. We walked in just as my mother was finishing her "Bless this family" monologue. Sarah stepped in behind me, face steady, hands clutching her little binder, not because she needed it, but because holding something made her feel less breakable. Melissa's face froze like someone had just thrown ice water down her back. Oh, you made it, she chirped. So glad. I dropped the folder on the table with a satisfying thunk. This, I said, is everything you did to my daughter. In writing. I opened it. Airline logs. Email chains. Timestamps. Her name. Her credit card. Her cancellation request. Her lies. All of it. Plain, simple, and absolute. Melissa went pale. Mike blinked like he was watching a documentary in a foreign language with no subtitles. I have your name on the refund, I said. Your email on the checkout confirmation. Your message to the travel agent saying Sarah decided to stay. You stranded a child overseas. Melissa tried to pivot. We thought she wanted to be independent. You thought wrong. My dad's voice, loud, sharp, and for once, deadly serious. Melissa tried again, flailing now. You know what? Maybe if she wasn't always everyone's favorite, people wouldn't resent her so much. And there it was. The truth. The rot behind the smile. My father stood up slowly. You left my granddaughter alone in another country, he said, low and trembling. Because you were jealous. Melissa opened her mouth. Shut your mouth. That old man thundered louder than a judge's gavel. Even Jenny stopped mid-table setting, fork in hand, frozen like a statue. Mike whispered, Don't talk to my wife like that. You left my kid in a foreign country with no phone and no way home, Mike. I cut in. You're lucky all I brought tonight is paperwork. Melissa's mask cracked wide open. She doesn't even have a mother, she snapped. Everyone just feels sorry for her. The room went quiet. You could hear the clock ticking. I turned to my parents. Now you know. This isn't just some mistake. This was planned. And it ends today. Then to Mike. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. Sarah walked to my side without a word. We left calm, steady. As I closed the front door behind us, I heard my dad say, loud and final, You're no daughter-in-law of mine. And Mike? You're no son. 3 days later, Melissa showed up at my door like a raccoon caught raiding a trash can, twitchy, cornered, and desperate. It was just after dinner. Sarah was upstairs drawing, headphones on. I saw the shadow through the frosted glass before the bell even rang. I checked the camera. It was her. Alone. Clutching that giant purse she always carried like it was going to shield her from accountability. I opened the door halfway. She looked like hell in a cardigan, no makeup, red eyes, hair frazzled in a way that screamed, I tried to look casual but have been crying into throw pillows for hours. Can we talk? She asked, voice all tremble and theater. I didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stepped aside and let her walk into the living room. She looked around like it was her first time seeing furniture. Clutched her bag like a rosary. I messed up, she blurted. I didn't mean for things to get out of hand. I sat. Silent. Stone. She kept pacing. I just wanted her to stop acting so perfect, okay. You don't know what it's like, always hearing about Sarah this, Sarah that. Grandpa loves her. Grandma thinks she's an angel. My kids feel invisible. Ah. There it is. I didn't say a word. Just placed my phone quietly on the coffee table. Screen up. Red light blinking. She didn't notice. I mean, she doesn't even have a mom, and yet everyone treats her like this tragic little hero. She snapped. My kids have 2 parents, and no one ever asks about them. I leaned forward slightly. So your solution was what? To strand her overseas? She flinched like I'd slapped her. I didn't mean for it to go that far, she said quickly. I thought maybe, I don't know, you'd yell or call me selfish or something. But suing? You're destroying us. Recording, I said calmly, tapping the phone. She blinked. Then froze. Wait, you're recording me? Yep. You can't do that, she hissed, lunging toward the phone. I picked it up. Held it out of reach. My state's one-party consent. All legal. And thanks to you, I have a confession. Jealousy. Intent. Lies. All on tape. She collapsed into a chair, eyes glassy. You're going to ruin everything, she whispered. No, I said. You already did. I'm just documenting the damage. She wiped her face. Tried to rally. You always act like you're better than everyone else. You've always been the smug, perfect guy. Maybe if you weren't so insufferable, people wouldn't. Abandoned children? I cut in. Funny how I'm the problem, not the part where you canceled the teenager's plane ticket and dumped her without a phone in another country. She stood, bag back in her hands. This is your fault. There it was. That last-ditch scramble for moral high ground. The narcissist's death rattle. You humiliated yourself, I said quietly. And now you want pity. You're not getting it. She turned, opened the door, and hissed over her shoulder. You've made enemies. I shrugged. I've made a case. The door slammed. I sat there, saved the recording, and renamed the file, Confession, Melissa. MP3. Send it to 2 people. Daniel. Dad. Subject line proof. 15 minutes later my phone rang. Dad's voice shook, not from grief. From fury. Send me everything, he said. And I did. Because now, it wasn't just my case. It was ours. By Monday morning, Daniel had already filed the lawsuit. Negligence. Emotional distress. Fraud. The trifecta. It wasn't some messy family feud anymore. It was courtroom official. Melissa and Mike Grant were now defendants, and my daughter Sarah? She was the plaintiff. My girl's name in black ink on legal filings, sitting neatly beside words like deliberate endangerment and intent to mislead. Good. The court date was set. And while we waited, the fallout started trickling in like a slow-moving landslide. Melissa tried to rally her support network, the PDA crowd, the Instagram moms, the wine at 2 p.m. is self-care tribe, but it didn't work. Turns out, people get quiet real fast when you strand a minor in another country, and then lie about it. The school newsletter quietly stopped inviting her to Character Day events. Birthday parties were suddenly full. The whispers started. And they didn't stop. Mike? He got hit next. His company HR pulled him in for a little chat about conduct unbecoming. That chat ended in an indefinite suspension. Ethics review pending. They weren't just losing social capital, they were hemorrhaging it. Then came the trial. The courtroom wasn't packed. Civil cases rarely are. But it felt full, heavy, like everyone present knew this wasn't just a legal matter. It was a reckoning. I sat with Daniel. Sarah was beside me, composed but quiet. She wore a simple black dress, no makeup, and held her little notebook, not to write in, but because she needed something in her hands to anchor her. Melissa looked like she'd aged a decade. Mike sat stiff, eyes darting like he was trying to memorize everyone's expressions for later manipulation. It didn't work. First up? The airline representative. Calm. Robotic. Efficient. The return ticket for passenger Sarah Grant was cancelled manually, she said. By Melissa Grant. The refund was issued to the same card used for the initial purchase. Then the hotel manager. Even calmer. Yes, we were instructed to check the family out early. The teenage guest's name was removed from the reservation. We were told she had changed her plans. Who told you that? Daniel asked. Melissa Grant. We have the email confirmation. Boom. Then Daniel queued up the audio file. Melissa's voice filled the courtroom, sharp and bitter through the speakers. She doesn't even have a mom, and yet everyone treats her like some miracle child. My kids have 2 parents and nobody notices them. You could feel the air shift. The judge's face didn't move, but her eyes said it all. Melissa started crying, right on cue. Like she'd practiced it. That's not what I meant, she whispered. Mike looked like he was trying to turn into a chair. And then? My father took the stand. He walked slowly. He's older now. His joints crack. But when he sat down and raised his hand for the oath, you'd think he was 40 again. I am Sarah Grant's grandfather, he said. And I was lied to by my own son and daughter-in-law. His voice never broke. But his fists did clench. They told us she stayed longer with friends. That she wanted to be independent. We believed them. Meanwhile, she was alone in another country. Scared. Abandoned. And they said nothing. His words didn't shout. They echoed. When he stepped down, the silence was volcanic. The judge didn't even hesitate. Liable. Melissa and Mike were found responsible for deliberate negligence, emotional distress, and fraud. They were ordered to pay damages, cover all legal fees, and were formally barred from unsupervised travel with minors for 5 years. The judge's ruling? This was not a misunderstanding. This was a calculated act of cruelty toward a minor. That gavel hit the desk like thunder. I didn't gloat. I didn't grin. I just exhaled. Outside the courtroom, my father waited with a manila envelope. The new will, he said. They're out. Permanently. Are the cousins still in? I asked. He nodded. They didn't ask for this. They're staying. And that was that. Mike and Melissa weren't just cut off. They were erased. The thing about consequences? They don't knock. They just walk in and start rearranging the furniture. After the trial, Melissa's name became radioactive. The PTA quietly removed her from all leadership roles. No bake sale, no newsletter, no more clinking wine glasses while planning Kindness Week. Her Instagram went silent. Every other mom in the district started referring to her in lowercase tones, like, you know who. Mike didn't fare better. The ethics review at his job concluded with a tidy termination letter. The phrasing was cold. Unprofessional conduct reflecting poorly on company values. His reputation, built on clean polos and fake humility, crumbled like a soggy business card. No one wanted to be seen on a golf course with that guy anymore. But none of that mattered to me. I wasn't in this for vengeance. I was in it for Sarah. And she? She thrived. Not overnight. Not with some dramatic Disney montage. But quietly, steadily, like spring after a brutal frost. She started volunteering at the hospital where I work, helping kids paint flower pots and make origami animals in the pediatric wing. I'd catch glimpses of her, hair tied back, sleeves rolled up, laughing with a kid who just had their 3rd round of chemo. My heart would ache and swell at the same time. One afternoon, while restocking gauze, I heard her tell a boy, "It's okay to cry when people let you down. But it's also okay to be the kind of person who never lets anyone else feel that alone." That's when I had to step into the supply closet and just breathe. She got accepted into a summer psychology program, selective, prestigious, one of those future world changer type deals. When the letter came, she hugged it to her chest and whispered, "Maybe I can help kids like me." "You already do," I said. "As for family? The real family, the ones worth keeping," adjusted. My parents rewrote the will. Jenny helped organize cousin visits, with no mention of the others. My dad started showing up to Sarah's school events like clockwork, always in that old flannel jacket he refuses to throw out, cheering like she was the only one in the stadium. And Sarah? She didn't ask about Mike and Melissa again. Not even once. She didn't need to. When people show you who they are, you stop asking for explanations. Meanwhile, I buried myself in work. Court stuff wrapped. Paperwork filed. Life went back to normal, or at least, the version of normal that comes after the storm clears. We ate dinner without tension. We laughed again. Some nights, Sarah and I would sit on the couch in pajamas, binge-watching bad documentaries, eating popcorn, and saying absolutely nothing about the past. And it was perfect. Then one night, weeks later, as we folded laundry, she said, "Do you feel better now? That it's over?" I paused, holding a shirt mid-fold. "This wasn't about feeling better," I said. "It was about correction. There's a difference." She nodded like she understood. Because she did. When you protect someone with your whole heart, when you see the storm coming and step in front of it without blinking, it's not revenge. It's love. It's justice. It's what family's supposed to do. You don't raise a child to be afraid of cruelty. You raise them to know that cruelty doesn't win. And in this house? It didn't.